Hey guys, all right, so it cut me off a little bit, but I think we got through a lot of this. Let's look over here on the right side of slide 41 and just looking at depth here and organic matter. So this is living stuff, right? So we have a lot of productivity in the sunlit area, which is right about here. The photic zone, and you can see this is 1 kilometer. So it's pretty deep, right? We start seeing minimal light, so about 600 about 100 meters to like 600 feet or so. This depends, or like 100 meter to 300 meters, or roughly about 600 feet is where our photic zone really starts to dissipate. So I know that sounds like a lot of space, but it is very specific to particular areas. All right, so we have a lot of productivity. We know that animals will die. We know that organic or bacteria will break them down, and a lot of those bacteria are going to be aerobic bacteria. So they're going to use up a lot of oxygen. So we end up with this oxygen poor zone just below that sunlit photic zone. And then looking at nitrates, we know that those little microbes are converting that material into eventually into nitrates. There's a little process to that, but that's why we have so much nitrate that's produced. And then here we have our total of dissolved carbon. So we have quite a bit that's going on due to that little microbial world. And then again, some of it gets uptaken and brought back into the cycle, and some of it is stored. Okay. All right. So again, here is that same image. So the biological pump, and we have nutrient limitations. So organisms like plankton require a variety of nutrients to grow. These nutrients are obtained from the ambient water, and the nutrients are required in certain ratios. So water in general, it will be at this Redfield ratio. So Redfield is just a person that discovered this when looking at seawater, and the ratio is carbon is 106. So this is another name for this is Redfield stoichiometry. So we're looking at moles, so like 106 atoms that, and at that time there would also be 16 nitrogen, phosphorus is 1, and then our iron is 0.01. So you can see carbon is our dominant nutrient in these cycles here, or in our microbial world. And it does not mean that nitrogen, phosphorus, and iron aren't there. So these are all nutrients that are required for phytoplankton, and they're really very important. So that's the Redfield ratios. Typically, the organism stops multiplying when one of the required nutrient is depleted. Okay, so the depleted nutrient is called the limiting nutrient. If more of the nutrients are present, there would be additional growth. Okay, so that's a little bit about that. And then looking at particular healthy areas, so short-term short-term marine organic carbon cycles. So where the water basically has upwellings and downwellings, and really we're trying to get as much upwelling as possible, because that's where the nutrients are kind of being stored and being we like to have that brought to the surface. So we need mixing in our ocean. So looking at some downwelling, so where the water is shifting downward, there's very little biological activity. And then looking at so areas where there's lots of nutrients, and that'll be at rivers, and you can see little arrows pointing to these areas. And then also where there's upwelling, we're looking at this is Norway in Northern Europe, in that particular area, and then also in our Arctic region above Russia. All right, I'm going to stop right there, and I'll come back and we'll talk about harmful algae blooms.